You know you need to prospect for your business, and you know that relationships matter. But let's be real. Cold outreach can feel awkward. LinkedIn can turn into a spam fest, and fear-based tactics push people away instead of pulling them in. In this episode, we're diving into practical, trust-based sales strategies that help you break the ice without feeling salesy, help you leverage LinkedIn without being a spammer, and start relationships the right way without resorting to scare tactics. Get ready to transform your sales approach and create authentic connections that actually lead to business. Hi, I am Tim Fitzpatrick with Rialto Marketing, where we believe marketing shouldn't be difficult. Thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I am really excited to have with me today Mike Bakich with Iceberg Cyber. Mike, welcome. Thanks for being here, man.
Thanks for having me on the show, Tim.
Yeah, I'm excited to dig into this, man. Before we do that, I want to ask you a few rapid fire questions, help us get to know you a little bit. You ready to jump in with both feet?
Ready to rumble.
All right, man. When you're not working, how do you like to spend your time?
Well, I work most of my waking hours. Yesterday, let's go through yesterday's calendar. I wake up at 8 sharp. I eat a pound of egg whites. Then I start working at 9 sharp. And I'll work till 8:15, then go to the gym, work out, come home, and go to bed. That's my entire day. So when I'm not working, I'm exercising, which I consider part of my professional life as well.
Yeah. So you're exercising or you're sleeping?
Exactly. Sleep is our superpower. And yes. I try and sleep more. I have been deliberately tracking my sleep, especially with all the travel I've been doing. I build up a huge sleep debt. So I'm trying to keep it close to neutral, which is a weekly struggle.
Yeah. Do you notice it when you get better sleep?
Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like physiologically, when you're not sleeping enough. And like the gadgets and stuff that I've been using just help me like quantify that, because like I'm a gear nut, but you can feel it when you sleep well and when you don't sleep well.
Yeah.
The gadgets just give you a number so you can stare at it throughout the day and then try and be better when it gets closer to the evening to go to bed early.
What's your hidden talent?
Woof. I had this in prep, so I was thinking about stuff. I would say I maybe not even a talent. That's for other people to decide. But I enjoy doing the gross, boring things that are required to achieve something. I enjoy that. People tease me about the food that I eat because it's disgusting and flavorless. But and we can talk about that if we have time in this show. But those are the gross, boring slogs that you got to go through in order to achieve your goal. And I would say that I enjoy that. And I would vote that as one of my talents, being able to suffer through that.
Yeah. That's interesting. Well, with food specifically, it's a mindset shift, right? If you think about food as fuel for your body rather than something that you just do to enjoy, it's
Correct.
Different, right? And it's not that it's easy, but it becomes easier to eat things that you might not enjoy, but that are good for you.
Yes.
Right.
I'm trying to use food as a food and not as a source of pleasure. Like it's a type 2 fun for me. It's not fun while you're eating it, but it's fun afterwards when you know that it's contributing towards something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Eating flavorless cottage cheese and unsalted chicken is not pleasurable in the moment, but it's a building block leading to an objective. So that it comes from that. That's type 2 fun, not fun in the moment, but fun to think about afterwards.
Yeah. What's the best piece of advice you've ever been given?
Recency bias here. The best piece of advice, or a great piece of advice that I think about often, is to achieve something extraordinary, you have to do the ordinary things on an extraordinary amount of times. And I try and live that.
Yeah.
It's these boring, repetitive fundamentals that get you to something extraordinary, and I think that's an empowering piece of advice. So if you like hear that and think about that and apply it to yourself in some way through your own lens.
Yeah. Have you ever read the book The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson?
No, what's that? Slight edge?
The Slight Edge. Great book. That's
All
really
right.
where he talks a lot about that, where it's those little things that are so
Yes.
easy to do and so easy not to do. If you
Sweet.
choose to
I'm
do
looking at
them,
it.
you get exponential results over time. You choose not to do them, you get exponential results down, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it's just those simple daily choices that we either choose to do or choose not to do that just add up over and over and over again. So,
Yeah.
man, yeah,
I'm
I
an
love that.
audiobook nut, so I'm just putting
Okay.
that on my library
It's
card
a
right now.
it's a great book. I can't remember when it was written. It was written a while ago, but
2013.
yeah, I loved that book. What's one thing about you that surprises people other than the fact that you eat gross stuff?
That probably doesn't surprise people. That probably doesn't surprise people when they meet me. I don't know. I don't know if there's one thing. I feel like people say I'm taller than I look on Zoom, but when they finally meet me in person, but I don't know if there is anything that at least nothing that's been vocalized back to me that's
Yeah,
surprising. Yeah, my personality gets out there, and so
yeah.
by the time we meet face to face or we're talking on Zoom, they get a full dose of it.
What does success mean to you?
Woof, that's a big life question
Sure
right
is.
now because I'm in the grind, Tim,
Yeah,
and I have the blinders on. I think I can say that somewhat abstracted. I know that I'm in the grind and I'm embracing that. So success right now for me in the short term, success is like trying to get ahead of all of the like little tasks that I know that I have to do. And I think about that constantly. And I've been doing a lot of SOPs. We were talking about Dan Martell's book, Buy
yeah,
Back Your Time. Like that's if I could achieve the tactics that Dan put in the book, that would be huge success because I know that those fundamentals would lead me to the next stage. And like the next stage of challenges, I don't even know if I have enough information to comprehend yet. But that's
yeah.
sort of like how I'm evolving, how I'm trying to evolve as an entrepreneur.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because our definition of success changes over time, or it can change over time depending on where we are and what we're focused on. So, I mean, you are where you are, and success means what it means to you at this point, right? And once you get past that, well, then it may change a little bit, right? Or it may start to shift, and that's totally okay. It's part of the
I think
part of the
so. I
deal.
think that's the fun unknown part about setting off on your path.
Yeah,
If you're always looking at the end goal, then you don't see where you are right now.
yeah,
You can't always be looking at your feet because then you won't know where you're going. But if you only stare off into the distance, then you won't see all the stuff that you're going to trip over. So there's some balance there. And
yeah,
right now, I'm looking at my feet a lot.
yeah, yeah. I get it. Well, and I also view no matter what your definition of success is, I've always felt like it's important that that definition has to be something that you can control. Because if you can't
Mhm.
control it, too many things beyond what you can do that impact whether you become successful or not. Whereas, hey, you got tasks you need to get done, and if that's successful, you can control whether you get those things done or not, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I love it. What qualities do you value in the people you spend time with?
I I I enjoy talking to people that are looking to, uh, like keep pushing the ball forward.
Yeah.
And often, and I have been told many times that that comes off as an abrasive personality because I'll often lose interest if the conversation's stagnant, I'll lose interest, and that's just a character flaw that I have. But if I had this conversation with someone I was working with last week at an event, and they were talking about starting their own business and doing stuff, that gets me rolling. I love talking about that. So that, if and it doesn't even have to be about business, but if I have a conversation with someone and they're exuding their interest in improving themselves, I get fired up and I get drawn into it and I love it.
Tell us more about what you're doing at Iceberg Cyber, Mike.
Well, we're a 2.5-year-old startup. Yeah, almost 3 years, 2.5, 3 years old startup. We started by creating some security tools, cybersecurity tools, foolishly, because we were tech people that were repeating the same mistake that I made at a previous startup, where we thought that technology would set us free.
Yeah.
So for the first year or so, that we were making tech tools for problems that didn't require new solutions. And then the switch kind of flipped in my mind, and I started to see the change in myself, and then in the clients that we serve, where I'm an engineer still. I was a real tech person that was afraid of sales and hated sales. I actually negotiated against paying a salesperson commission at a previous company that I had, which resulted in the company running out of money. So there's the end of that story arc. But at Iceberg, the evolution of my own mindset towards sales has been embodied in what we're trying to do with MSPs, like using technology not as a security tool to secure their clients, but as a conversation starter to make them feel more comfortable about sales, to get the conversations flowing with prospects so they can earn more clients and thereby secure more small businesses. So we started Iceberg to try and help prevent small businesses from being victims of cybercrime. But to achieve that, I understood as I learned more that the MSP is the critical link in this chain. But if they can't feel confident in a sales process, they can't get any clients to pay them money, and therefore those clients aren't going to get any security. So this is how we're achieving that now. And we use security tools as the fun conversation starter to make that flow more comfortable between the MSP salesperson and the small business prospect.
So you're helping MSPs sell and generate leads through these tools.
Absolutely. And I love talking about sales. I used to hate talking about sales. Now I love talking about sales. I love talking about it. I love doing it. I love thinking about it, because I've seen how it's changed my own personality, and I can see it. I just had a follow-up interview with one of my own clients yesterday. Small MSP doing a lot of cyber advisory stuff, uncomfortable in the sales conversations before, like many tech people are, like just socially uncomfortable to try and ask someone for money. But we went through this our own onboarding process and kind of coached them to show, like, sales is about solving people's problems in exchange for money, but it's about solving people's problems. So if you use that as the reframing, instead of like you're not hitting them up for money, you're solving their problems in exchange for money. Now he's loving it, and he called me to tell me he's rolling in new conversations. People are calling him, and he can talk to them with confidence because he knows how to listen for their problems. And when he finds the right ones, he knows how to solve them, and then they pay him money, and he loves it, and they love it.
Yeah. It's a mindset shift, I think, for a lot of people. It's like, how do you view sales? If you view it as something that's negative, then you're not going to be excited about it, right? And you're not going to want to do it. But if you look at it as, hey, I'm here to see if I can help these people solve this problem. If I can, cool. Then it's my job to tell them how I can help them do it. And if they choose to move forward or not, that's up to them. But it's that mindset shift. And I also think that, and we're you and I are, most would probably say we're biased, but if you don't have marketing and sales generating leads that are turning into clients, what you do doesn't matter. Like, who cares how good you are, whether you're a managed service provider or whatever you're doing. You can be the greatest in the world, but if you don't have leads turning into clients, then none of it matters. So super, super important.
That is a common fallacy. I got a startup company, so I swim in the startup pools, which are a little bit different personalities than the small business world.
Yeah.
There's a common fallacy that the technology will sell itself, which is disconnected from the reality that no one buys technology.
No.
People pay to solve their problems.
Yeah.
Many problems are solved by technology, but no one's buying the technology. They're buying the solution to their problem. Yeah. So to say that you could be the best in the world, but you don't like sales is a fallacy. You can't be good at this if you don't have sales, because sales is the is the definition of the problem that needs to be solved. So you can be great as an R&D department, which was my previous startup,
Yeah.
and you can be great as a cost center, which is a company that doesn't sell anything, but
Yeah.
that's not a business. A business is exchanging goods or services for money, and to do that, you need to solve people's problems.
Yeah. Yeah. And they need to want to solve them, right? We all have problems that we know we have, but we're not ready to solve them yet, right?
Right. I mean,
So
that's what that's what the sales process is helping a lead appreciate that they have a problem and realize that it's a problem that they really need to solve,
yeah, yeah,
and then giving
yeah.
them the solution for it.
It's worth solving. So let's jump into this. What first thing I want to ask you, how do you break the ice without feeling salesy? That's a big hurdle for a lot of people.
Yes.
How do you think about this? How do you approach it?
I won't get too cheeky here. I'm gonna tell you like how I do this as a building block. I think people have a trauma in sales where they think about the used car salesperson,
Yeah.
and or some other experience that they've had where someone is just like pitching at them. They just keep hounding them and say, I have this product, buy it. I have this product, buy it. That's where sales feels salesy. Okay. And we have to try and disconnect the word sales is not bad. Let's train our minds to think that but being salesy is gross, and we can see it all the time. Salesy usually happens when someone is trying to sell at you. Like you say hi to someone, and then they start telling you about this great product that they want you to buy. That's what's being salesy is. So we can use that as a first step and say, well, just don't do that. Don't sell at someone. The first part of the sales process needs to be discovering if they have a problem. If they don't have a problem, you can't sell anything to them. If they don't have a problem, don't pitch. Because if they don't have a problem and you pitch, you're going to get rejected 100% of the time. And then you're going to feel gross, and you're going to feel rejected emotionally. And they're going to also view you as someone that they've rejected, which is going to put you on a shelf of permanent rejection. Right?
Right.
So you don't want that. So if you don't want to get rejected, don't pitch someone unless you know they have a problem. That's my overarching strategy. Like, I don't talk about anything that I sell until I know that the other person has a problem that I think that I can help them solve. And the first part, like the whole part of the conversation leading up to that, is me trying to understand whether they have a problem, and then helping them appreciate if it's a problem that's bad enough for them to want to solve. Because maybe they also have a problem, but they just don't care enough to solve it. It's not painful enough. Okay, don't pitch. Don't pitch.
Yeah.
It's this inflection point when you pitch. That's where it'll either be them saying, you know what? Yeah, okay, I do need this. Or, gross. Don't pitch at me. Hit the reject button. And that inflection point is where people's emotions hinge on a knife's edge. Because if you do it too early, or if you pitch before knowing that they have a problem we're solving, they're going to reject you 100% of the time, and you're going to feel terrible about it.
Yeah. Yeah. So I love how you keep this simple. What I'm hearing you say is we need to just first start to have a conversation, right? To identify, do they have a problem that we can help them solve? And do they actually want to solve that problem at this point? Up until that point, we should not be talking about what we do and what our solutions are. We just need to get to know people and understand their situation and where they're at.
Right. Absolutely. And I know that might sound like too passive and indirect and coy, but that patience is what's going to prevent you from feeling bad. That patience is going to prevent that salesy emotion. Because if you're impatient and you're just knocking on doors and saying, would you like to buy IT? Everyone's going to reject you, because no one wants to buy IT. No one wants to buy IT. You know, like, no one wants that. People have problems that they need solved, and IT solves them, but no one wants to buy IT. So this patience to discover their problem, this is what will prevent you from feeling salesy. And there are ways to be very active. This is not like a just wait and hope someone comes to you. Not at all.
Yeah.
Like, you can still go and hunt hard. You just have to keep that rule in mind. Like, no pitching until they understand that they have a problem. And if you read between the lines here, the advanced recon here of your pre-sales process and marketing is helping people understand that they have a problem.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of education that goes into that. And that's all of the active part is helping people realize that they do have a problem, and you studying common problems and telling people about it and using lead magnets to reveal to themselves that they have problems. That's the active part. Because then once in their mind that they switch, like, shoot, this is a problem. This is a problem that I need solved. Then you're right there and you won't feel salesy. They'll be asking you to solve their problem and you'll feel great about it.
Yeah. I love how you kept this. This makes perfect sense. And this leads into my next question. And I think we can take the same approach to this, but that's what a lot of people do on LinkedIn, right? And so you just get, you connect with somebody and then you immediately freaking get spammed and hit. Daily. All kinds of assumptions, right? Yeah. So my next question was going to be like, hey, how can you use LinkedIn prospect without being a spammer, right? LinkedIn is a great place to connect with people if you approach it from the right mindset. So I'm assuming what we just talked about is a good base. Any other thoughts you want to add to that?
My strategy here is still in development, but let me tell you where I'm at so far. It's clear to know what not to do. So that's an easy thing. It's always easier to critique than create. So we can critique here and just make sure we don't do the mistakes, and then we can get creative on some solutions. What you don't want to do, whether it's on LinkedIn or in person, is say hello to someone and then pitch them, because they're going to reject you. And they're going to know that the only reason you said hello was to pitch at them. And they don't want that.
Yeah.
I get messages like this daily. I take screenshots and save them because this is sort of my thing. I like reading these, but I'm sure everyone watching this video gets these messages from random people on LinkedIn that you've never met before. They'll send you an invite. You'll accept it because you're kind-hearted, and immediately they send you like 2 paragraphs about their business that you have no interest in, asking if you want to have a meeting with their CEO, which of course you don't, because you don't care. And then they'll send you like the 17 touch point follow-up sequence, which just reinforces how much they don't care about your time or your attention because they're just bothering you.
Yeah.
16 follow-up times without you ever replying. So you don't want to do that because that makes you a spammer.
Yeah.
What I do, I just connect with people without a message. Before I was sending messages, like personalized messages about like events we've been at. Now I just send out invites, and I use the social media platform as like a warm one-to-many tactic to talk about the problems that I know my ideal client profile have.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. So because it ties back to this, like, don't pitch at someone until they have a problem that they want to solve and you know it. Don't pitch. So I'm not pitching anyone, but I am talking about their problems and ways that they can solve their problem.
You're connecting with people that are your ideal client, potential ideal clients, and then you're just actively posting, and
correct,
a certain percentage of those people are going to start to see your content.
That's right. So there's some amorphous brand awareness happening, and then you can be direct. Being direct requires you to have some sort of lead magnet that they would care about.
Yeah.
Lead magnets are fantastic tools because it's a way to give value to someone and help them appreciate their problem more.
Yeah.
There are three categories of lead magnets: reveal a problem style, a free sample like Costco, or free step 1 out of a multi-step process. Reveal a problem, very common. So the reveal a problem, you can see the theme here. It's all about the problem. The reveal a problem, like my posts talk about problems that I know my vertical has, and then maybe I'll have a free lead magnet. Like for IT people, a fun one would be like the Microsoft Cost Analyzer or something, or like a workshop on how to use all of the Microsoft tools you're already paying for. There's a fun lead magnet because it gives value to the audience. That's a reason for you to directly message someone. And the message would be, hey, I'm doing a workshop on Thursday on how to better use all the Microsoft services you're already paying for. Do you want to come? You're giving value to someone. You're helping them understand and reveal their own problem, which is they're wasting a ton of money on IT because they're DIYing and they don't really know what to do. You're helping scratch that itch,
Yeah.
but you're not pitching them, importantly.
Right.
So they might say, no, thanks. I'm busy Thursday, but let me know the next one, because I probably do care about how much I'm paying Microsoft, because I know what type of problems they have, so I can guess what type of problems they have.
Yeah.
But it's no pitch, which is
Yeah.
critical. And that's the important part of this direct outreach, is that when you make this first outreach vector, you can't pitch them,
Right.
because you don't know if they have a problem. But you can proffer lead magnets that may help them reveal their problem.
Mhm.
And that makes you feel good, and it might make them feel good. They might ghost you, which is fine.
Yeah.
And then you're still at neutral, and then but it's not pitching, right? So like, if they ghost you, they haven't rejected you. They just said, no, it's okay, I don't want to come to the webinar.
Yeah.
It was thoughtful. It wasn't spam. This might be a webinar they would be interested in. So the relationship and the emotions are still at neutral, but they're not negative. Because if you just knocked on their, like, if you just send them a LinkedIn message saying, here's all of the tech support that we do, we reply to tickets super fast, blah, 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 no one cares, meet with my CEO, they're going to reject you, because that's silly, and they know that you're just in this relationship to pitch them.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. To lead into this next question, I want to, with Iceberg Cyber, one of the tools you guys have is a cyber score lead magnet, right? I've seen this on the marketing side a lot, where, like, you get marketers who are like, hey, let us do a free SEO audit, or, a free website audit. And that audit just points out all the crap that you've done wrong, right? Which tends to not work, because people that they don't, like, they feel like they're being scared into this, right? It's a scare tactic. How, like, why shouldn't you start a relationship this way? And how can you still position something like that? Because there is value in it, but it seems to me like there needs to be some type of repositioning there in it. Am I?
Yeah. I
Am
firmly
on in
believe that
thinking
you can't start this with a fear, because the fear is so temporal and it dissipates so quickly, especially when it comes to computers. If you do whatever assessment that you want to do, and you say, the boogeyman is coming for you if you don't take action and fix this. All the prospect has to do is forget about that message for 5 days, and then read it again and say, well, I guess it wasn't that urgent because nothing has happened.
Yeah.
Then what's the value? Nothing.
Yeah.
So if you base it all on urgency, you have a very short window to convert. And if you don't convert in that short window, your whole value prop is gone. Our cyber scores are not designed to, like, get someone to look at it and say, I got to pay to fix this stuff. That's not what they're for, honestly.
Yeah.
The lead magnets are designed to get the prospect talking, so that you can try and uncover whether they appreciate that they have a problem. The cyber scores are revealing a problem. They're a reveal a problem style lead magnet.
Yeah.
However, you and I may know that there's a problem. The prospect doesn't know that there's a problem. The lead magnet's trying to help them understand that they have a problem. But no one's like, here's your cyber score, give me $1,500 and I'll make it perfect. No prospect's going to move on that, because, like, they weren't thinking about a cyber score 20 minutes ago. They probably won't be thinking about it 30 minutes from now. So no one's, like, smashing and grabbing money from that. The purpose of the lead magnet is to get the conversation started and earn enough trust from the person you're talking to for them to tell you about their real problems. And then that's what the lead magnet leads towards.
Yeah.
I'll give you a specific example. Last week, or mid-February, whenever this show comes out, mid-February, I was at the Wisconsin City and County Management Association Winter Conference in Madison, Wisconsin. It was lovely. We used the cyber score. I was there with one of our MSP clients, helping them prospect.
Okay. So they had a booth.
They had a little 3x5 tablecloth, TV on the TV stand, cyber score. That's it. Very simple. And they had a bunch of tchotchkes. It was lovely. We had a bunch of people walking by. There's probably like 150 human beings at this event.
Okay.
We got a decent amount of foot traffic for a few hours. The cyber score was there to attract people to stop walking past and to give us something fun to talk about. So my line was, hey, you want to do something fun and see your cyber score? That was literally my icebreaker.
Okay.
And people would say, okay, that's the reaction I'm looking for, because they stopped walking past. That's the big objective there. So they stopped. We do it. We do the dark web scan. That's okay. That didn't land with that many people because I think the city managers have been trained to talk about that. But what did land with many of them was the email impersonation check, which is like the SPF DKIM DMARC for anyone listening. Most of the cities didn't have DMARC configured. So I talked about that and I said, listen, your dark web stuff's fine, but one thing that you need to talk to your IT person about is this DMARC thing allows, since you don't have this set up, I could send an email impersonating you to all your residents. And they would say, oh, that's not good. And I said, yeah, it's not good, but don't worry. It's like 5 seconds to fix. And there's a little tutorial right here. If you click this button, who's the IT person that I should send this to so that you can fix this? That was the conversation starter. Because then they would either say, you know what, we just have someone voluntold at the city that fixed this. We don't really have someone. Okay. Now I know that you have many more problems and the conversation's flowing and I ask you about those. Or they might have said, we have an IT company that we outsource this to. And I say, great, here's the tips for it. Send this to them right now and I'll follow up with you next week to make sure you get it fixed.
Yeah.
Which may not lead to a deal. Like maybe they do have an MSP already, but at least it won us a little bit of trust to talk to them more. And then those people that, even if they have an MSP, those people are just going to ask for a referral later. Like, who else do you know that wants to see their cyber score? It's a great conversation segue.
Yeah.
But at no point was I pitching, right? At no point was I pitching. I was just giving them some fun value. At no point was I scaring them. I was showing them, I was revealing a problem and then immediately telling them how to solve it for free without having to pay me. Like it's not I'm not holding them hostage for the information.
Yeah.
In all of these cases, I'm giving the information away for free because the execution is where they would pay an MSP, not in the knowledge.
Yeah.
Like you can find the information on how to fix this stuff on Google. You don't need an MSP for that. But the reason people need managed service providers is the service part. It's the implementation and the maintenance and the upkeep and the support.
Yeah.
So giving the information away for free is what helps that dynamic not feel like I'm scaring them into it.
Yeah. Yeah. One, it's how you positioned it up front too, right? Rather than it's, hey, do you want to know your cyber score so you know all the stuff that hackers can get in on? No, it's like, hey, do you want to do something fun and find out what your cyber score is? Yeah, cool. Right. That sounds good. How would you so I love this. So that was in person. How would you shift that? I mean, certainly you guys are offering the cyber score as a lead magnet on, the MSPs that are working with you, their website. Yep. How might I use that, say, on LinkedIn, right? Like I'm connecting with people.
Same conversation. Like make a connection. You can post about it. You can post little case studies. Yeah. Find a client that you already have and do a before and after. That's a good way to attract some attention and promote the lead magnet self-serve to someone that's looking. And you can send direct messages in the same way. Say, hey, Jerry, we're doing this as part of the association member benefits. I did a quick score for you and notice these issues, but don't worry, they're easy to fix. Here's what you need to do. If you got 5 minutes, I can explain it to you. And then tying it back to the SEO checker thing. The SEO checker was one of the inspirations for the whole CyberScore thing because the SEO checker is a great reveal a problem style lead magnet. Yeah. What I think is critical to it working for a visitor to the website is tying the problem, making sure you tie the problem to like something that the person actually cares about. So you can't just say your DMARC's missing because they don't know why they need that. They don't know why that's a problem. But if you say, hey, we did a little check, someone can impersonate you to the city residences. That's not good. The city manager knows that. That is a problem that they can appreciate. But if you say your DMARC record's invalid, they don't know what those words mean. Yeah. That's a means to an end that they don't appreciate. If the SEO checker says your SEO is all messed up, what does that mean? That's not a problem. No one wakes up worrying about SEO. Right. They do worry about not being the first result on Google. Yeah. So if the SEO checker said, listen, there are problems, But if you follow these prioritized top 3, you can go from the 8th page of Google to the 1st page of Google. That would get someone's attention.
Yeah.
So you got whatever the reveal a problem style lead magnet is, you got to tie it to a problem that they actually care about, not like the tech stuff that you're scanning. Even with the dark web stuff, like we do the dark web because it's common language now.
Yeah.
But the point is not, hey, you've got a ton of breaches. Everyone does. The point is, we use this as the canary to say, are you doing anything with password management? Because the password management hygiene is the ongoing problem. The breaches that happened 12 years ago probably don't bother anyone anymore.
No.
But if you're using the same password that you were 12 years ago, it is bothering people. And we're trying to reveal the password hygiene part of this.
Yeah.
And that's a critical part. And we're still trying to figure out new ways of making that jump. Like go from the tech guts that we can scan for and relate it and explain it to a problem that the prospect would care about. And that's got to be vertically aligned too. Like live at the event, I was vertically aligning the conversation to things city managers would talk about. Because I would say the email impersonation stuff allows me to email your residents from the city's email account. That they care about.
Yeah.
But to say your DMARC's invalid, they don't care about that. No one cares about DMARC, but they do care about email impersonation and deliverability. So you got to talk about it like that.
Yeah. So it's about understanding your ideal clients, right? And what's important to them, but then tying back that reveal problem style lead magnet to a larger problem that they actually care about. And then, offering, hey, if it would be helpful I'd be happy to have a quick conversation with you to go deeper on this. Something like that.
Exactly.
Right.
And you get better at this when you study the vertical. This is the required homework before you have these conversations. You have to know the problems of the vertical before the conversation starts. So you can try and lead the person to realize they do have problems, because oftentimes they don't know that it's a problem, or they may know it's a problem, but they don't know it's bad enough to fix. That's very commonplace. And that's your responsibility to do your homework. So you can come to them and say, hey, have you thought about it like this? Because other clients that we serve had these problems before. Now they don't.
Yeah.
We didn't think about it like that. Yeah, we thought it was just about the printers not printing, but really it's this whole thing behind the curtain. Yes, exactly. It is about that whole thing behind the curtain.
Yeah. So it's
and that's the homework you got to do.
In the case of a managed service provider, offering this cyber score to somebody, it's just a way to start that initial conversation, and help you uncover whether they actually have problems that you can help them solve.
Precisely. All of we do the cyber score, and then we do a more detailed risk assessment, so vulnerability scan. Again, no one's paying for your vulnerability scan. You should give this away for free, because it earns you the trust from the prospect to find out if they actually have a problem. Like, I mean, you could sell the vulnerability scan for $1,000 one time, but why do that? No one cares about that, because they're gonna, like, the scan isn't even the benefit. No one wakes up says, I want a scan.
Yeah.
No one wants the scan. They want the problems that the scan found to be resolved. Right. So like the scan, it's a means to an end for us. We want to get them focused on the vacation, not all the plane ticket and the TSA line to get there.
Yeah. Well, and whether you're in the MSP space or not, you can apply these same concepts to whatever industry you're in. But do you find that your MSP clients are finding, because look, the reality is most people are already working with an MSP, unless there's a problem that they're having right now, they're not even thinking about it. Like, I don't have an IT problem. I got an MSP. The cyber scan of the cyber score and the vulnerability scan are helping start that conversation. But it seems to me that it's also casting a little bit of doubt on their current MSP.
That happens. That happens often with like our clients, our MSP clients run into prospects that have existing MSPs. That happens.
Yes. But do you find that, like, I just did a vulnerability scan for a potential prospect, is that prospect starting to think like, geez, I'm working with an MSP. Like, why do I have these vulnerability issues?
Yeah. If you get that far, and now I'm talking to MSP salespeople, which is often
Yes.
the MSP business owner. If
Yeah.
you get to the point in the conversation with a prospect where you've done a network vulnerability scan, like our cyber audit, with a prospect that has an existing MSP, don't bother talking about the scan results. Like, it's good to do, but what you've just uncovered is that they clearly have a problem that has nothing to do with the scan results because they're talking to you. They let
Yeah.
you scan their whole network and they have an existing IT provider. What's the problem that they're so unhappy with that they would allow you to come in as a foreign body into their office, touch
Yeah.
all of their stuff? Clearly, they have an underlying problem. That's what you want to uncover. And
Yeah.
the scan and the cyber score and the vulnerability scan, that's all just your tools to help scratch the itch and figure out what the real problem is. They're being underserved in some way. They're not happy with their provider. Ask them
Okay.
that.
Yeah. So it could even be something like, hey, why did you let us do this vulnerability scan?
Yeah,
Would that be would that
exactly.
be an okay question?
100%.
Yeah.
We can do the scan for you. Absolutely. Why do you think you need it?
Yeah.
Well, my current providers never talked to me about like risk management or anything. And why is that a concern to you? Because we can do the scan, but if you just want to do it for fun to get a discount from your existing provider, no thanks.
Yeah.
If which happens, like maybe just comparing quotes from people, don't bother. But if they say, like the reason your email caught my attention is I've been hearing from my pal that their company had an issue with XYZ, and I asked our existing provider and they didn't reply to me for 2 weeks. Okay, pick on that scab
Yeah.
because there's an underlying problem there. They feel underserved, they feel neglected. Those
Yeah.
are emotions that will lead to a problem that you can help them resolve. The scans are just the tactics to
Yeah.
logically justify it to themselves, but there's some emotion there,
Yeah.
and they'll pay to resolve that emotion.
Because if they had full confidence in their existing provider,
They tell you to buzz off.
yeah, they would never need it, right? So there's something underlying that you have to uncover to say, like, hey, why are you having us do this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. That's what
Okay.
you want to focus on. And so the lead magnets are your tools to help discover those problems and
Yeah.
help the conversation advance, winning the trust of the prospect to get them feeling comfortable enough to tell you their real problems. Because
Yeah.
that takes trust.
Yeah.
Like they're in a relationship with their existing provider, probably for several years.
Yeah.
They know them on a personal level, probably because all your MSP clients, you know your clients on a personal level. So something is painful enough for them to even entertain the idea of talking to someone else.
Yeah.
This isn't a relationship. So they're thinking about stepping out on their current provider for some reason. That's what you need to find. And it has nothing to do with like how fast their response times are, blah, 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 or tickets or antivirus or Microsoft. It has nothing to do with that. Those are logical explanations, but the emotion is they feel neglected. They feel underserved. They feel ignored. That's what you got to win their trust to make them feel comfortable to tell you that.
Yeah.
And we use the lead magnets to win the trust.
Yeah. I love it, man. Any last minute thoughts you want to leave us with before we wrap things up? This has been great.
Theme of the first quarter, the in-person events are fantastic. I'm putting together a list and I'm going to write a blog article about it. But there are tons of these little in-person events. The chambers have them. BNI has a ton of them. Every state's got the city management association. So if you're interested in talking to municipalities, there's like every state has an association. They have 2 events per year. The next one's like the summer event in June, July. The in-person events are great opportunities. We spent like a day and a half at this event and got 30 meaningful leads that will either turn into a couple clients or many referrals, many warm intros. Like for a day and a half, that's fantastic. And they needed a tablecloth, a power bar, and a TV.
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
I would look into that. Anyone listening, like find the business association. There's centers of influence for manufacturers and the accountants and the dentists. Any vertical that you're thinking of, there's definitely some state or local association where these people congregate. Find those, go to those events, even at least to attend, go to the events. Because we've been just rolling in leads from them, like the ones that I go to, and then my other clients that follow that advice and then go to their own. The golf course, the golf tournaments. I'm doing a golf tournament for someone in Texas at the end of March. It's great because having the personal face-to-face eliminates all that like digital spammer barrier to begin with. So you're getting past that initially. And then if you appear like a human being that might actually care about their problems, then they'll talk to you. And from there, the conversation goes. Then you got to listen. You got to know their typical problems and listen for them and help them discover it. And if you can do that, then you'll get more clients like clockwork.
Yeah. I love it, man. Where can people learn more about you, Mike?
I'm very active on LinkedIn. So if you make the mistake of connect with me on LinkedIn, you'll see my face daily. Otherwise, you can go to the website at icebergcyber.com. I just launched the podcast maybe like 2-3 weeks ago. We've done a couple episodes. That's cyberconfidential.ca because I'm Canadian. Cool. Yeah. So you check it out there too. But LinkedIn's the central place. That's where I'm the most active. If you find me on LinkedIn, you'll see my stuff all the time, and then shoot me a message.
Cool. Mike, I really appreciate you taking the time, and this has been a great conversation. Go connect with Mike, and his last name is spelled Bakaic. Mike, thank you. Those of you that are watching, listening, I appreciate you as well. If you want to connect with us, go do it at rialtomarketing.com. Be happy to chat with you. The other resource we've got for you is over at revenueroadblockscorecard.com. When we help clients build their engine, we focus on 9 key areas. If you want to know which of those areas you're scoring well in, you can do that over there. Takes less than 5 minutes, so go check it out. Until next time, take care.